What up, people? It's Gray Rizzy. We out here on Shade 45. It's another grind setters. Grind first, set translator. Don't worry, people going to catch up with you. But I'm going to switch it up a little bit today because we have someone that's here who is kind of somebody I've been wanting to talk to for the last 2 months, and God knows with everything that's going on outside, everybody is on their bikes. Who better than to kick it with Mr. Justin Williams representing the Legion, man? I appreciate you for being here, man. How's everything?
Thank you for having me. I'm good, man. I'm good.
Yo, you know what's crazy? And again, I know it's a weird time, 2020. I don't think anybody could have ever forecasted this, but there is a cycling boom for, obvious reasons. People just don't want to be around each other. They want to be on their own thing outside of the car. So I figured, let me reach out to you, man, and just kind of get a little bit of your story and, how you built to where you're at right now. And just give some people who need some tips. Maybe they want to figure out how to be better out there. So I was like, let me reach out to you. So Justin, let's start with this. You're based out in LA, right?
Yeah, Los Angeles, California.
How did you get into cycling? I've read a couple of different things, mostly based, it was introduced by your father, but can you, I'd rather hear it from your mouth.
Yeah. No, I played football and basketball growing up, so I didn't really think about cycling as like a real option or a sport that was something that was competitive or anything. My dad did it, and I've always seen him do it, but I wasn't like, I don't know, I just ain't never connected to. So like, as I got older, I just got a little bit more interested. I learned about a lot more about the sport and my family's history with the sport. And coming from Belize, cycling is this massive, massive thing. It's like soccer and cycling, and then maybe track and field. So I just learned the history of the sport, and I was super intrigued, man. And when I started riding, I wasn't very good, and I had been good at other sports, so it kind of roped me in.
I think when you said you played basketball, you played football, automatically, I'm thinking about the inner city. I grew up in the Bronx here in New York City. Basketball, maybe
nice.
Some football, baseball because the Yankees were right up the block. But outside of that, then it's like, whatever, I'm on my BMX bike. How did you, learning the history with your family, of course, like you said, with Belize and stuff, what was the first thing that said, hey, I want to do this? Because I think I read this, and again, correct me if I'm wrong, one of your first major rides was some crazy mileage. Was that 60 miles or something?
It was like 70 miles, dude. My dad was tripping, bro. So he wanted to make
on your
sure
first
that I was
ride?
Yeah.
Oh,
it was a full setup. He wouldn't even let me ride outside. There's these things called trainers. You've seen the Peloton bikes, right?
Right.
There's basically, we have versions of that called trainers. They're smart trainers. So they tell you all your information, tell you how far you're going, how fast you're going, etc. And he made me ride that. He made me train inside for 2 months before he would even let me outside. So then the first ride that I did outside on the road, he was like, all right, we're going to test your gangster a little bit. He took me for this long ride, man. He didn't tell me to eat. He didn't tell me nothing. And then he was mad at me, left me out on the road because I had I never wore biking tights before, right? So I had I had on my boxers under it, and he was mad because he's trying to massage this cramp out of my leg, and he was like, "Yo, I told you not to wear like boxers under this." So then he left me on the side of the road. My aunt had to come pick me up and take me to get some food, man.
Now, see, this is the thing. I read the story, but hearing it from you. That's a pro tip
right there. If you're going to go on a long ride, make sure you take a lot of food.
Take food and don't wear no drawers. Wear the kit. When I first read the story, I was like, wait a minute, I've been doing this thing wrong for how many months now? You know what I'm saying? I had no idea. And to be honest with you, I haven't been comfortable with the kit. After I played basketball a lot, for the most of my life. So wearing a pretty much compression shorts with some padding, I wasn't comfortable with the idea automatically, but now I'm growing into that. And now I know not to wear no damn clothes.
There's levels to it for sure. You got to get into it however you can, man. Honestly, just being on the bike is such a mental escape, and it's so good for your heart and your fitness. If you want to wear basketball shorts, wear basketball shorts. I know dudes that jump on the bike with basketball shorts. They got a middle section, which is like for mountain bikers. They have the tights under it, but it come with these shorts over it, so you can hide it. Because one of my friends used to tell me when he first started riding, his name is Rasan Bahadi. He said when he first started riding, he used to ride out the hood with a t-shirt and basketball shorts on, and then he used to throw his because he didn't want to see nobody. He didn't want nobody to see him in his kit, and then he used to throw it in his back. And then when he got out, and he would go train. So it's the levels to it, man. Like it's hard to get comfortable to that. But when you really start thinking about it, man, like when you play football, you were in tights, man. Like your girdle is tight, like your undershirt, whatever. It's the same thing. You just not throwing pads on over it.
Well, I'm glad. I wish I would have heard this from you a few months later, but I'm here now. That's all that mattered, man. We got Justin Williams in the building. It's Gray Rizzy. We on the ground setters up here on Shade 45. Keep it locked. We're going to be right back. Yo, it's Gray Rizzy. We out here right now. Shade 45, what's going on? Ground setters family, what's up? We got Justin Williams in the building. Very accomplished too, man. It's before we get to, all those accolades that you have rightfully earned, being a man of color, a black man within the world of cycling wasn't always something that was seen. Definitely something that I think more people needed to accept. And with you winning so much, I think people really nod their head to, what you're doing now and seeing more people come after you. But, what was one of the things that you had to break down? I guess stereotypes or stigmas and really getting into the competitive field when it comes to cycling.
Yeah, man, it's that duality of character that a lot of us got to kind of carry with us as we go through our day-to-day or professional life. It was just kind of like, I always felt like I was trying to make people feel comfortable. And in a sea of like, white people, which is what the majority of the sport is, as a kid, it really took a lot of time to kind of be comfortable with being myself. But, as soon as that started to happen, as soon as I really started to like trust, who I was and what I stood for, everything started to evolve, man. And we started to build this really beautiful thing that kind of stands out from the sport. It's given me opportunities to talk to you today, man. It's just stuff like that keeps evolving. So.
Absolutely. There's one of the fun things, and for all the listeners that are out there, one of the reasons or one of the ways that I got put on to Justin is because of the people I was riding with. And then it's like this amoeba, it kept on growing and growing and growing. But no matter where I would be at, whether it be in New York City, South Orange, New Jersey, Paterson, Newark, New Jersey, your name kept on coming up. And we're all the way on another side of the country. So, have you, what's it been like, especially with the boom of cycling? I'm assuming that you've been getting people hitting you up and just kind of giving you that tip of the cap, so to speak, like, giving you that nod, like, yo, keep inspiring.
Yeah, it's dope, man. Even when I was like, even when I was in South Central when I was younger, you could see it, man. Like people really appreciate when you bring in something and doing something different. And like, I just like try to do my best, like make everybody proud. But standing on the podium and getting to win these races, it's real. You know how we do, man. Like the competition level, once we decide that it's a battle, we're putting everything into it. So I just think that some people just not ready for the intensity that like me and my brother bring to racing, man.
What is that like? Like that particular dynamic that you have, it's not just you, it's also your brother, Corey, man. How is that with you guys, doing your racing? In fact, I'm assuming that you kind of broke down the door with him with Pops, because he was looking at you two and you was going through your thing when you first started riding.
No, that's exactly it, man. When I first started riding, I was trying to connect with my dad on another level. My dad from, he's from poverty, man. Like we thought we grew up poor, but he grew up really poor. So I was just trying to connect with my dad, and it was the thing that he did. Both of my brothers, I have a middle brother and a younger brother. The youngest one is the one that rides. My middle brother got a daughter and a wife. He ain't traveling nowhere soon. But
he on the sidelines clapping for you. Right.
He still rides, man. He real dangerous. He have the same mindset that we have. He just ain't got the same fitness because he ain't got the time. But the man is still dangerous. We call him the team mascot, but you don't want the team mascot running into you.
No, not at all. I wouldn't want those problems either.
Yeah, so I think Corey just saw me and my dad kind of vibing, and we all was looking for that from him. So I think once we found something that we knew we could build this kind of like this relationship that every person wants with their father, we found it. We were lucky enough to have our dad in our life, so it was a massive step, and we all wanted to do it. So uh, yeah, that was that's put us in a position to have like some really good times, man. We've traveled the country with that man and learned way more about him than I think we would have learned without cycling.
Yeah, and I think that's one of the great things right now. One of the things that we do with our group, which is called Black Watts out here in South Orange, New Jersey, and the reason why we chose that name, not so much for Watts, the city out there in LA, but for wattage, which I had no idea about before I started writing, the generation of energy. But it's
Yeah.
it's like the ability to ride with your brothers, ride with people who are like-minded, but also being able to build, you know what I'm saying, have conversations and take that
Oh
and,
man,
and
it's
go
so
with it.
powerful. That's the biggest thing in cycling, man. Like, and that's why we try to do our best to try to put cycling in front of as many inner city kids as possible, man. Is you never know who you're gonna run into. There's so many different opinions. It changes the perspective that you have on life when you're having conversations with lawyers and doctors. There's so many. The community is so rich, and there's so many people from different walks of life. It makes you feel like you're capable of more. And that was the biggest thing for me coming out of the hood was like getting into cycling and like going to stay with these people that come from money and have money and understanding their lifestyle and kind of how they operate, how they move. You start to look at things differently.
One of the things, in fact, you know what? I'm gonna go to some music. I'm gonna tell you what I noticed was real different, and it was a lot of money in it. All right, we're gonna be right back.
Yeah.
Justin Williams is in the building. Gray Rizzy, we out here. Grind Setters, what's up? Stay tuned. Hey man, it's Gray Rizzy in the building with you on Shade 45. Our guest Justin Williams is still up here with us, and we were talking about the differences that you kind of find. And I guess I liken this sport. With basketball, all you need is a ball. Find a court, you're good. Football, all you need is a ball. Find a field, you're good. With cycling, I never realized how much this sport is like equestrian, like lacrosse. Certain
Yeah.
types of
It's
sports that
different.
really it takes a lot of you got to invest not only time but money. And I remember I was riding somewhere and I pulled up to somebody and my boy hits me. He was like, yo, he probably spent like about 10 on that. I was like, $10? Hell no. I mean, that looked like it's at least 150. He's like, no, 10,000. He spent like 10,000 on his bike.
10,000. They spending stacks on bikes in cycling, man.
Yeah, I had no idea, man. So let's talk about this because obviously a lot of people get into different sports for different reasons. Sometimes it has to do with just the love of the sport, the passion, which I see with you. Sometimes they look at it as a career. How has it
Yeah.
been with doing these national championships and now doing these criterions, these crits, which I didn't know about until I started watching Legion and a lot of these other races. But what is that like, especially now for you, man? Like you see, again, you're seeing people coming into the sport, starting to look a little bit more like you. What's it like now versus from when you first started?
Yo, it's massively it's a massively proud moment. I think it was a big spike in the sport when Red Hook started. And Red Hook was basically this race that was fixed gear track bikes, and they're simple to create, man. Like a track bike is like wheels, pedals, a crank, it's handlebars and a seat. So it's the entry level to that sport was like way cheaper. So when that started to blow up, you started seeing a lot of people that obviously could afford those bikes get into the sport, ride around and create these like mob groups, and you just see these massive group rides happening. And that's when I started seeing like this influx of just color into the sport. It was exciting, man. Like I was good at football, but I wasn't the best football
Mm-hmm.
player
Mm-hmm.
at my school. So I just felt like the more people, more black men, black women that got into the sport, the higher that level would have been raised, right? So it's exciting, man. It's exciting now that with everything going on with the pandemic, people are starting to look to the bike for adventure, right? To get out, to kind of move. And you see a lot of cities investing in like their bike lanes and everything. So I think it's going in the right direction. I'm glad my people are starting to take notice of the bike, because man, it just comes with it. It brings so much enrichment to your life.
Yeah, I agree with you 100%. What do you usually, if we're taking it from, say, getting ready for a football game or a basketball game in the locker room, where you putting up shots, you get your reps ready. What are you listening to? I see you got your beats on. What are you listening to get ready for these rides?
Yo, I got a playlist, man. It's a lot of J. Cole, it's a lot of Kendrick. It's a bunch of stuff mixed in. It's a flow to it, man. It starts off pretty calm, and then as it gets like higher and higher, I start getting more and more on there. It's a lot of Drake on there. I love me some Drizzy, but I usually end before I ride off the rollers. I take my headphones off. I usually end with Miss America by J. Cole. I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
There's something about it that just kind of gets me in that mindset. So that's really what it is, man.
Well, you know what we're gonna do? We're gonna go ahead and do the J. Cole joint, the Miss America joint, and we're gonna play some Laugh Now, Cry Later with Drizzy and the homie Lil Durk. We're gonna get into that. Keep it locked right here with us in Shade 45 Grind Setters with my brother Justin Williams. Keep it locked. Chill. Hey man, it's Gray Rizzy. We out here on Shade 45. It's the Ground Setters. I just want to say, Justin Williams, thank you. I really appreciate you stopping through and just giving us some time, man. What are some tips that you dropped a couple of jewels in here, like wearing no drawers with a kid? I know that now, but what are some more tips that you would give for riders who now it's been about a couple of months now, they're starting to find themselves taking this seriously? What are some tips that you would give them?
Yo, for real, I think like the most important thing, like obviously, like wear a helmet and protect yourself, man. Like I know in cycling, it's funny. The slower crashes are the ones that are worse. When you're going like we race 30 miles an hour, we sprint at 40 miles an hour. When we crash, we skid across the ground. You know what I mean? It's like skipping rocks. But a lot of times when you're falling over from like a stoplight or something like that, man, like you're riding through the city, just make sure you're protecting yourself as much as possible, man. Wear a helmet. I think outside of that, like know who you're riding with. Don't show up to ride with Corey Williams. If you've been riding for 2 months, that's not going to go well for you.
That's not going to end well.
That's not going to end well for you. And I think the biggest thing would be, just spend the time. Go to your local bike shop, man. Like everything you need to find most of the time is there. Like support local bike shops, man. They're there to help you. There's always group rides out of them. If you're feeling like any kind of anxiety toward like showing up and meeting people, that's the place where you'll be able to call home. So those are the three things, invest in the community, stay safe, and don't go riding with too many beasts too early.
This is true. We call them the Tron brothers where I ride. These guys, they take off. The fact that you said you ride, I guess the pace is 30 and you sprint at 40, that's mind blowing to me, because I've been a smooth 15, 17. So I know I got a lot to go, a whole lot to go. But I will say this, man. Learning, I have one tip, man. Learning how to ride with clipless shoes. Go in a parking lot and take your time. Don't try to do it on your first ride. Oh my God. Thank God for my helmet. Yeah, or the grass, yes.
Or the grass, yeah.
Make it the softest landing that you can, because believe me, if it wasn't for my helmet, I don't know if I'd be having this conversation with Justin right now. For everybody that's listening, I definitely want you to tap in with Justin on all platforms that he has. What's the best way, brother? Instagram, Twitter, website, all that. Let them know.
Hit me on Instagram, man. It's Just Williams, JUSWILLI, AMZ, with a Z, not an S. I had to change it because the S was already gone. But Instagram is the best platform. We're on YouTube at Nation's #1 Beast. That's my little brother. We put out all kind of race content. You can kind of see how physical cycling actually is. People don't understand, man. They be surprised when they see people getting ran into. But it's a super physical sport. It's super fun, man. You're like sliding around corners at, like I said, 30 miles an hour. You're 2 inches from, the guys next to you, and it's 100 dudes, and it's one guy versus 100. So it's really cool, man. Check it out.
Definitely go ahead and tap in with him, man. In fact, while you in the following mood, shit, tap in with me, man. Hit me up on Instagram and Twitter at Gray Rizzy, GrayRizzy. Follow the channel at Shade45. And of course, follow Grindsetters at Grindsetters, exactly how it's spelled. I appreciate you, Justin. I'm going to be thinking about you on the ride this weekend and what I got to do. And of course, again, no drawers with my kid. Thank you very much. I appreciate it right there. We're going to get back into this music, man. Peace.